Good afternoon, everyone. This is Francis Nicholas, and this is my Can You Filter Water activity. Interest in this, I'd never heard of allium before, was curious how it worked. The two videos that were shared definitely heightened my interest. I was curious about charcoal, why it's used in all filters, so I learned a little bit about activated and unactivated charcoal. And I tried to think of this very logically, like one of the kids in the videos mentioned. Sift out the larger particulates first, and then make it finer as it goes through the filter. And I wanted to simulate the way the Earth's crust works. Because the allium was so interesting to me, I decided to do my own little test so I could see firsthand. I created my control, just took some tap water and a couple pieces of dirt from my garden to create my control. And then I created the allium with about a quarter cup of water and a quarter teaspoon of the allium, shook that up, and added some of my control so that we could see progression of how quickly the allium caused the particulate to fall out of the water. So these are a few increments that I took pictures of. As that was working, I set up my other materials. I had small plastic Dixie cups, which I cut the bottom off, thinking that just the filter would give me the best flow. However, that didn't work because taking the bottom off the cup damaged it structurally, so the rubber bands just crushed the cup. Secondly, I used push pins just to create some holes, about 12 holes per cup. Cut rounds out of the coffee filter because they were a little bit long. Used the rubber bands to hold the coffee filter around the bottom, and push pins to keep the cups separated. After I put the coffee filter on, I was very curious how a coffee filter would work to filter out particulates. So I put my control water into the cup on the left, and the cup on the right shows after running through a coffee filter just one time. The first attempt of my stackable water filter, I used Logic. Like the kids talked about, the cheesecloth, the gravel, the sand, and the charcoal, because activated charcoal is like a sponge. And then, of course, the coffee filter so that they didn't mix. My second attempt, I was looking for a little bit more speed because it seemed to take a long time for the water to flow through, so I removed the coffee filters. And my third attempt, because I really wanted to hit home on the Earth's crust, I removed the coffee filters and the stackable function. To start with my third attempt, with everything kind of layered directly on top of each other, I was kind of disappointed because I saw very little improvement. There is some, but I wouldn't say it's a success because I wouldn't drink this water. My second attempt went really, really fast, but again, a little bit of disbelief because the water didn't improve much. The top right picture shows the water after the first time. I thought, that's not possible, so I ran it through 3 times, and the water in the second cup on the right is what happened after 3 trials. So definitely got better. I think in a not ideal situation it's drinkable, but the first attempt was definitely the best. The water with the coffee filters took a long time. I let this run for about 60 minutes, timing it, and there was no water in my collection cup. So I checked it the next morning, and the water looks really clear. There are a few particulates, but not many. I think this water would be consumable. Again, the allium, just because I was curious and I had it sitting for 24 hours. Allium on the left, clear water, and the control still a little bit hazy. Overall, developed a lot of scientific inquiry. I'm not a science guy, but I enjoyed the first-hand experience. I was able to make my own questions and determine how those questions were answered. I did go out on my own to find some research of things I was curious about. I even talked to one of my peers at school that teaches engineering, and he had shared that he applies this in his civil engineering class with the idea of developing nations and how a simple filter like this could really make a difference for people in those worlds. So that was my take on this. I think it's an incredible lesson, and I'd love to see how students at different levels would take this and run with it. So thank you.